Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Big MX Radio Podcast. This is Racer's Mindset. I am your host, Brad Gebhart, and this episode is brought to you by Racetech. Racetech suspension and engines. They even do some engine work for some of the top teams, including factory teams in the supercross pits. I can't even tell you who they are, who those teams are, because I've signed an NDA in order to not be able to tell you guys that. But I can rest assured that those engines are in tip-top shape, and sometimes they're even at the top step of the podium. Like I said, I am your host, Brad Gebhart. The guy who really has the knowledge on these podcasts is my co-host. He's from Australia. He's worked at Pro Circuit. You know, if he worked for Mitch Payton, you know that he's worth his salt. You know that he's also been gone through the ringer and had some mean things said to him, and that person meant them. He's also worked at Factory Honda and worked along the side of guys like Ricky Carmichael, who is the greatest motocross racer of all time. He goes by the name of Andrew Hopson. Hoppo, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Brad. It's been a great pleasure to do all these, and I love it. And I think this is just a great opportunity to talk about motorcycles and being better and just having a good time all around. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, my friend. And yeah, we are absolutely going to talk about motorcycles. We're going to talk about being better. We're going to have this the Racer's Mindset is a personal development podcast. And speaking of personal development, I have you to thank for the recent gains that I've been able to make at the gym, pushing heavier weights with more reps. And oh, by the way, I've dropped no less than 15 pounds since I saw you in October. That's damn close to a pound a week, which is what was the original goal that we set for ourselves. Obviously, like keeping in mind that Christmas is also mixed in there, which as strict as you want to be over the Christmas holidays, it's always more difficult to drop weight during that time period. I've been able to do so, and yeah, we're in March now. We have our eyes set on the two-stroke cup coming up in the next couple of months. And yeah, when the weather breaks up here in Canada, and it will eventually, we'll get there. I'm excited about it. It's gonna be an amazing summer, and I have Hoppo fit to thank.
That's awesome. I mean, like I said, this was it's never easy. Change is tough, change is hard, but you had goals, you had a vision, and you stuck by it. So you've done the work and you've got the results, and no one can take that away from you and no one can buy it. You have to earn it. So that's what's so good about the personal development side.
Absolutely. So that being said, for those who are listening at home, what's Hoppo Fit all about? Like, is it a personal training program? Is it a life coaching program? Is it both those things? How do you break it down?
It's both. I offer both services. I mean, when you look back over my career and history, I mean, was always involved in the technical side of things in the motorcycle racing, and always had a health interest in being healthy and fit and being the best we can in every ways. So eventually, this all kind of just fell in my lap, and decided to start a little coaching company on the side where we can just do health and fitness, or we can do some mindset and get you to the next level and goals and maybe some investing, or some big life changes. I mean, it's all about just setting goals and looking towards the future and executing daily habits. Daily habits is the key to make change, and that's where we need to focus a lot of time.
Yeah, daily habits and consistency. So for this episode, and this one I'm really excited about because this is something that has kind of come across my desk a number of times over the last few months, is identifying the things that hold us back and eliminating them. It's one thing to be able to basically sit yourself down and say, "Here, these are the things that are stopping me from getting me to where I want to be." It's another thing to be able to like sort of compartmentalize them, break it down, and move forward. So we have some questions that we're going to get to later on. But let's just kind of break right into that sort of conversation before we start talking about the Indianapolis Supercross coming up, which is like has always been a staple on the series for the longest time. We used to go to the RCA Dome. We go to Lucas Oil now, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk like first and foremost, identifying the things that hold us back. How do we do it?
Well, obviously, the first one that comes to mind is fear, because we all have fear. It's the stepping into the unknowns. Like, you need to make changes. You know where you need to go. You have a little bit of procrastination. You have fear. Fear is what holds the majority of us back. And the mind is like a muscle. You have to exercise it daily. You have to push through. And fear, I mean, we all have fear. I struggle with fear. The fear of going faster, the fear of not being liked, the fear of being better or someone not liking you. I mean, there's so much
The fear
fear
of
out
being
there
called
that,
out as an imposter.
yeah, imposter syndrome. We all struggle with that, especially if it's a career change or, a friendship change or something like that. It's a tough thing to overcome at times. And then you have self doubt. Am I good enough? Do I need do I need to read more? Do I need to study more? Do I need to train more? And self doubt again, they're pretty close, those two things, fear and self doubt. And then that ties into limiting beliefs. I mean, the same thing. Can I do it? Of course you can. We all need to do hard shit. Simple. Just need to push
So
through.
identifying what it is that's holding us back. How do we exactly go about doing so? Does it literally take sitting down with a pad and paper and writing down like you could either go about it a number of ways. If you're self-aware enough of being able to like actually write down, you know damn well what's holding you back. You could just write those things down and you can sort of compartmentalize those things, or you can literally go through, say, like if you're like me and you got a photographic mind of your last week. Yeah, no, I benefit from autism. I don't struggle with it. But like, you know what I mean, like being able to like sort of like go through like, hey, like my Monday looked like this. What were the holes in my game? You know what I mean? Like, is that how someone can sort of identify those things, and then how do they go about fixing it?
Well, it is your daily goals. I mean, your why has to be pretty good, right? Like if you can't control a few basic things, it gets tough to hold those goals. I mean, I'm a big believer on your support crew. I'm a big believer of your network is your net worth. So you always have to be looking to people that have been where you want to go, have they can help you. I like to say increase the fold time. That was a Joe Moffat quote. How do we increase the fold time? Who do we go? Who can help us? What can we leverage? So again, but it really just comes down to those daily habits. It's like if you know that eating junk food once a day is not good, well then you need to replace that meal with something more healthy. If you know that you're on Instagram or social media for an hour and a half a day, it's like you could have read 10 pages of a self-help, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Who Not How, all those type of things that will help you move the needle forward in the direction that you need to go.
Fair enough. That being said, like I'll just spring this on you that you're not prepped on this whatsoever. But what are you reading right now? And if you're not reading a book currently, what have you read in the recently that you can suggest to some of the listeners that might be looking for a good read?
I guess I mean, that's a wide variety of a question to answer depending on where you at and what personal changes you need to
Enact.
work on. I mean, if it's financial stuff, then I would start with Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That's a good book to start on. What is an employee? What is a business owner? What is an investor? All that sort of stuff that breaks it down. That how is money invested? How money works? I mean, that's a good starter for bettering your finances. Um, if I have to look, I think right now I am in between reading books, but let's see. On my Audible, I'm actually listening to a relationship book called It Begins With You. And then the last one I just finished was The Practice by Seth Godin. Again, all about daily habits, all about executing. Action cures inaction in anything. We all know that. You're feeling down, go knock out 10 push ups.
Yeah. No, I think you're
Instant
totally
change.
right. What are your thoughts on challenging yourself? And this is a little bit of a like there's good things that can come from challenging yourself, and there's also like you can, like, depending on how you look at it, you can challenge yourself, and if you happen to fail, there's a certain amount of negativity that can come with that. Is that like, all right, I'm going to challenge myself to wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, go hit the gym. I'm going to challenge myself. And the good side of that is that you challenge yourself, you make it happen, you feel good, you get some good momentum. The negative side of that, and this is where fear comes in, this is where the negativity comes in. I challenge myself and I don't get up. That's when you can create some sort of like negative energy or negative momentum going backwards. And then all you've done by challenging yourself is proving to yourself that you don't have the sauce. So, how do you challenge yourself and ultimately stick to it, and see to it that you're not just all talk? Because I think a lot of times, as people who are trying to better themselves, we set these big goals. Say if I'm used to waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, for working at 9, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting my workouts in after work. I'm going to start trying to get up early to go to the gym, and that whole program falls on its face. First of all, how do we avoid that? And if we happen to stumble, if we happen to not be able to achieve that day one, day two, how are we able to sort of turn that nuts on its ear and actually create that good momentum?
I mean, that's a great question.
That's the
Really,
million
I
dollar
had so
question.
many, I had so many thoughts and flashes. I should say that. So that's. I mean, really, it comes down to how bad you want it again. But like, if you're struggling to get up early, if it like if you said 6, but you're used to getting up at 9,
It's 3 hours.
so let's split the difference. Let's shoot for 7:30,
Yeah.
and then let's edge into 6. But really, if you want to do it again, put systems into place, because systems is how we really make changes. You've got an iPhone, and you've probably got a watch. Set that clock at set 2 alarms, one for 6, one for 6:15. Eventually, you're going to get out of bed and make sure that sucker's in the other room, in your bedroom, or in your bathroom, or somewhere where you have to get out of bed to switch it off. Because once
Yeah.
you get out of bed and you're moving, that's a different mindset, being cozy under the covers. So
Hmm.
yeah, again, it comes down to systems and daily habits. So if you had 3 alarms set, 6, 6:05, 6:10, or 6:15, whatever it is, by the time that second or third alarm goes off, you'll be all right, I guess we're getting it done today.
So, like for you, do you set multiple alarms? Are you popping out of bed at after the first alarm, or does even the great Andrew Hopson require a couple of alarms set in order to get themselves out of bed?
I have one that goes off at 4:15 on my wrist on my watch. So usually, I'll be out of bed by 4:30 and at the gym by 5.
I think I,
And
I I remember that quite vividly when
yeah,
I was down there for World Vets, and I'd hear your alarm go off at 4:30.
yeah.
And
And I
I'm
mean,
I'm I'm
I've
down in the living room thinking to
yeah.
myself like we were watching 500 nationals or USGPs like 6 hours ago. You bastard.
Yeah, but that's my system, right?
Yeah.
That's what I said. I have a system, and there was a time when if I know that I start to struggle or whatever, again, I don't have my phone in my room, right? I don't sleep
Really?
with my phone. No, my
Okay.
phone stays in the bathroom on a charger. I can't see it. I can't hear it. It's on silent. But if I do get to the point where I'm struggling to get out of bed, then I'll go and set that alarm as well, and I have to switch my
Yeah.
watch off. Then I have to get out and go switch the iPhone off. And then by the time I do that, you go to the bathroom. It's like, all right, I'm up. Right.
Right. Like,
So that's, I
yeah,
mean,
that's a
they're my
powerful thing,
systems.
man. Like, awfully hard to scroll on your phone at 2 o'clock in the morning if your phone is in the other room.
Right. And I mean, but there's other stuff that, like I struggle. People say, I can't get up at 5. It's like, well, you can. You're just not dedicated hard enough to do it.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you, by the time you've done that 3 or 4 days in a row, you won't be scrolling on your phone at 10 o'clock. You're going to be looking for the pillow at 8:35, right? Because you've changed that system. And the systems are the key. There's again, it's probably a little deep on some of these, but let me see if I can find it. There's a good book on systems. Another good come is the 5 a.m. Club by Rob Sharma. That's a really good introductory to getting up early, getting stuff done before the morning. There's been many, like every morning my alarm goes, I'm like, man, I just want to sleep in till 6:30. But do you know how bad my day goes after that if I don't do it?
Oh yeah.
Like you need, it's just one of those things. It's just got to be done. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I think what really it really comes down to, and as harsh as this may sound, is do you really want what you say that you want? Because if you want it, if you truly do want what you say you want, you will make it happen.
Right.
You will carry out the tasks and you will get up like it's no different like someone books themselves like they're like, oh, I can never get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But if you had to be at the airport by 7,
Yeah.
you're getting up at 5.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like magically on that one day, you were able to do it because if you didn't, the plane was going to leave without you. Like just live with that urgency. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And again, like I said, I'm a big believer of your network is your net worth, right? So
Okay.
that can come
Explain
back
that.
to, well, I mean, if you're hanging out with 5 smokers, technically you're going to be the sixth. If you're
Yeah.
hanging out with 5 bodybuilders going to the gym, chances are you'll be the sixth.
Right.
If you're hanging out with 5, 6 figure guys constantly, I won't, I'm not going to say doctors, lawyers, or whatever, but if you continually hang out with those, some of that's going to rub off on you, right? So your network is your net worth because those 5 people will pull you up.
100%. I'll even go a little bit further is that if you're hanging out with those people on a regular basis and you're not able to or not making strides to get to their level, they'll probably lose like they'll leave you in the
Right.
dust
Correct.
because
Correct.
people who perform at a high level, they're also aware of that cognitively, or like if they're not physically aware of it, like how they've gotten to where they are is by surrounding themselves with positive people who get their job done, and set those goals and they attain them. Um,
True. I mean, like that comes back to that your surroundings. I mean, is it toxic relationships? Is it your girlfriend or the boyfriend or family bringing you down, where you're just constantly told that you'll never make it, you're not good enough, or whatever? I mean, anyone can do it. It's just the mindset that you have to break those chains to get out of that environment. So, and lack of goals. I mean, like I typically try and read my goals every day, where I need to go, what I need to do, what have I got, numbers do I have to hit, and it just comes back to again systems and daily habits.
yeah,
So, and another thing is the comfort zone. Um, Comfort's the biggest killer. You
yeah.
have to push yourself.
I've said this on the podcast a number of times. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. In order to have what you've never had, you must do what you've never done. And that includes at the gym, at the house, whether it's your daily habits, whatever. In order to get to where you want to be, you got to do what you like. In order to live differently, you have to be differently. It's going to take a different version of yourself. When it comes to goal setting for you, are you somebody who are you a proponent of uh making it known what your goals are? Because I know there's a lot of people who like to sort of quote unquote work in silence, and I think there is power in that, but also at the same time it gives you a little bit of an out because if you don't tell everyone what your plan is, no one calls you out for not getting there.
True, true, and yeah, I mean, I mean, a lot of people will say you work in silence and then your results will show. But I mean, I've had some things change for me lately in some other areas, and I think that either again, it'll come back to that circle, that
Hmm.
network in that group. You will never find anyone above you that will, they'll always help you. There'll be always, I have a guy that helps me. He's kind of a mentor. Hey, try this, do that. I mean, that's priceless in some areas, right? So again, I think it just comes back to systems and network. And like I said, if you're willing to do the work, there'll be someone there to help you. that that will just magically appear, and you go, oh shoot, I didn't see that.
Hmm.
I'm going to do the work, and this, as you know, you'll help. If you see a younger kid coming through and he's doing the work, it's like, of course you got to hang out with that guy because
Yeah,
he's doing the work.
for
You don't
sure.
get, nothing comes from easy.
No, yeah, you just hit
Nothing
the
comes
nail on the
from
head
easy.
there. Yeah, I think you're totally right.
And to go back to just a couple of minutes ago, it's like
Go ahead.
that path. It's like the fear or the path of the unknown, which is always scary. And it's like the path will illuminate when you take the step.
The
Every
path
step
will
you
illuminate
take.
when you take the step. I like that.
So it's like driving to New York in the dark. It's like you can only see 200 feet down the road with your lights at night, right?
Yeah,
But you know where the end destination is. You got a road map.
right.
Like
Yeah,
at
follow that
200,
roadmap.
you're only going. You can only see as far as the lights in front of you. The rest is
That's deep.
unknown.
That's deep, brother.
You like that one?
I do. You know what else I like? I like when our listeners participate and ask us questions. I got three questions for you from some of our listeners. From we didn't do a podcast last week, but we've got three questions from some of the listeners. Do you want to tee those up real quick?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right. So this is Ask Hoppo, Dave Dittman from St. George, Utah. Which you have a race in St. George coming up, don't you?
I have a half Ironman in May that I'm going to attempt to do in May. So
An
yes,
attempt to do, or you're doing?
I'm doing. I'm going to finish. I just don't know what time. I've got 8 weeks to get myself into some sort of half Ironman shape. So the running,
Well,
running, running
Leadville
after
keeps
the
getting
bike
closer,
ride.
by the way.
I know. I trust me. I know all this.
I was like, yeah. Tell me something I don't know, Gebhardt.
Yeah, true, true, true. So,
All right.
all right, what do we got?
So David Dittman from St. George, Utah, he says, I'm currently out of work and struggling to have structure to my day, including getting up at a decent time in order to get my day rolling. What can I do to properly structure my day on a consistent basis?
Set some clear goals. If a job is what you're looking for, then suit up, print out the resume, start knocking on doors.
Okay. All right.
Break those goals down to, if the job is the main priority, then that's all you do. You
Yeah,
hand out
I think that
resumes.
literally comes down to, okay, what's my work experience in the past? What do I want to do? Is my resume fresh? Like, is my resume ready to go? If yes, like how do I start applying? What job sites can I go to in order to start submitting job applications? If my resume isn't tip top shape, how do I go about refreshing that to the best of my ability? Whether that's looking at templates, reading, getting that as good as it can be, and then yeah, you need to find, like, if you're currently out of a job, Dave. Finding a job has to be your job that point
Exactly.
forward. And
And
yeah,
and also too, get yourself to the gym.
yeah, get some good
Make
momentum
yourself
going.
as make yourself as strong as you can, because we all know when we see someone walk in to a room that's strong, you're all, that guy's got something going on. He's
Yeah,
got something we can't buy. So strength, I don't want to be egotistic or masculine in ways, but it's like when you see a solid guy, that guy's got some discipline.
oh for sure. When I think fitness in so many ways is a reflection of somebody's, obviously, their habits, their values, work ethic, and
Right.
most importantly their discipline is like, in order to be in shape, especially in this day and age, you have to be diligent, you have to be consistent, you have to basically have all the the characteristics that an employer looks for in an employee. You have to be able to do that for yourself on a consistent basis. So yeah, like I absolutely think that, like, if I'm interviewing people and one guy walks in the room looks like he's been hitting the gym 3 times a week for the last 6 months and is in the best shape of his life, and then someone else walks in who looks like they stopped at the drive-through on the way to this interview. Um, if the two employees are equal as far as experience and knowledge, to me the answer is simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And also too, like when I say I hit the gym, it's like, you know, everyone should be at least 2 hours a day on personal development. That's an hour in fitness and an hour reading or studying, trying to better yourself in any way, whether it's relationships, money, strength, nutrition. Everyone should be trying to push at least 2 hours a day. We have 24 hours in a day. I mean, you can't find 2 hours out of 24.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
whether that's a
you're
podcast on the way to work instead of music or whatever, like something that's going to move the needle, make you better,
yeah.
and attract better. Simply.
100%. So, Dave, I hope that helps out in St. George, Utah. You're only about 4 hours away from Hoppo right now.
Yeah. No,
Moving
I
on.
think it's 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah, either way, it really does depend on traffic now, doesn't it?
Through Vegas. True.
Neil McKenzie from Seattle, Washington, more than 6 hours away from you. I've been working with a trainer for 6 months now, and results have plateaued. How do I tell my trainer I need more?
I mean, that's a loaded question. I mean, plateaued in what way? Are you
I
just
mean, I
feeling,
guess just like
is he
this.
flat, doesn't
Yeah,
want to train, or I mean, there's again, that's an open-ended question. I mean, like if that guy had come to me, the first thing I would probably do would obviously one to, work out whether he is overtrained or he is just bored with the program. Again, I think that comes back to goals. I typically like to have people wear a Garmin watch. That way we record everything. We look at sleep, we look at HRV, we look at stress, then we look at hydration. I mean, there's so much stuff going on to go where, is he just really physically fatigued? I mean, when you look at, when you break down the cycles of training, me personally, knowing where I am right now for a half Ironman and going into Leadville, I'm at around 18 to 20 hours a week of training. That puts you in the class of a professional
Right.
at 20 hours a week. So again, how many hours a day are you training? Or how many days a week? Again, that's why we like to look at the Garmin dashboard. Stress, HRV, sleep, all that stuff starts to tell a story over a period of weeks. So
Right.
I would talk to your coach and explain where you're at, what you're thinking. And again, is he, it's just a random question and we're trying to answer the best we can. Is he a moto guy? Is he a bicycle guy? Or is he just trying to lose weight? So, yeah, but that's why the Garmin dashboard is pretty good to, pinpoint some of that stuff. And he's still not feeling good. I'd get a blood test and have someone have a full panel and look at all your numbers.
For sure. Like my best advice to Neil would be like I would definitely do a blood test. I think that's something not enough people do in general. But then like rather than saying like just outrightly like, going to your trainer and saying, "Hey, this isn't working for me," or "I need more," which I guarantee like I don't know, depending on who he's working with, that his trainer might just end up adding more value volume. You could just ask like, "Hey, like can we do a check-in, can we do a fitness assessment of like where am I at?"
Right.
And then that can spur sort of like a, hey, this is like, I assume that if you're working with a trainer, the first thing you would have done is essentially get a baseline of like where are our numbers, how many push-ups can we do, how many chin-ups can we do, what's our max bench, what's our VO2 max, like all
Right.
those, like in order to create any program you first need to just establish where those things are at. And then now, okay, like we need to like basically redo that test and like get a current like state of affairs where we're at, and then all right, where do we want to go from there? I think that's the best way to approach it rather than just flat out saying, hey, to your trainer, hey, this ain't working.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's self-awareness.
Yeah,
Checking
100%.
in. And like I said, I'm a big believer that I think that we should probably all have blood tests a lot regular than we really do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Moving on to Randy Newberry from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm able to set goals, but I struggle to create that roadmap in order to reach them. Please help. So I guess that this question is about like basically reverse engineering those goals. We know where we want to go. We know where
Right.
the destination is. Like very similar to when I left Winnipeg and I drove all the way to, well, I don't know, your house.
Hmm.
The roadmap had to be set in order for me to get there. There's a couple of places to stop for gas along the way. But yeah, like help Randy sort of reverse engineer some of these goals and basically maybe give an example of a goal and then how you can reverse engineer that over a certain period of time to be able to get there.
Yeah, again, it comes back to what your goals are, right? Again, some very open-ended questions to an extent, but smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. When
Yep.
you start to work in those areas, you'll soon start to see patterns that you have. You'll know where your weaknesses are, and then you'll have some timelines. So,
Right.
specific, make it clear. What do I want? The measurable, putting systems in process how to get there. Achievable. It's got to be achievable. You're not going to say, I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of the year. That's not achievable.
Okay.
That's a pie in the sky goal. But it's like, hey, I need to get 3 credit cards paid off by the end of the year. Now that's achievable.
So I'll give you a scenario just for say for myself.
Hmm.
If like currently I'm able to get 155 10 reps no problem on bench, but I want to be able to bench. I want to be able to do a body weight bench, which is would like I'm currently 192, let's just call it 185 for 10 reps. How would you go about coaching me to get where from where I'm currently at, which is 30 pounds away, like over a certain amount of time? And what is a reasonable expectation where I'd be able to add 30%, or in this case, that's what is that? Somewhere close to like the 30 pounds or almost 40% of your bench press. How do I go about adding that?
I mean, I definitely be looking at the diet on how much protein you're eating, because protein is going to be key to building that muscle and strength. Again, we would have to look at your program, how you're doing that, but we would start to increase the weight a little bit. We would probably do some high reps just to get it rolling,
Hmm.
and then we'll just slowly increase the weight over what would be your time frame to do that.
Right. Like
Again, I mean,
if I wanted to get there by April 1st, give him a month. Is it practical to say I'm gonna bench 30 pounds over my face 10 times in 1 month, or is that unrealistic?
I think that's a little unrealistic
Okay.
to an
Help me
extent.
help me figure that out then.
um, I mean, how so you can do 10 reps now at what was the weight again?
155.
155. Have you been to 160
I've been to 180.
recently?
No.
How long ago?
2018. So
Oh,
a
you got
while
muscle
ago.
memory. You got muscle memory.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
You've been,
I think that like when it comes for Randy, and this is something that like I'm just gonna assume like let's use this like let's use my example as struggling for the roadmap is okay. Like not only do we have a destination when it came time to drive to your place, it wasn't that like I knew where I was gonna go, but I also knew how long I had to get there. Like it's a 30-hour drive. It's gonna take me 2 days to get there this and I'm going to tackle this and I'm going to tackle that. So obviously, like if it was in the case of say bench pressing, want to add 30 pounds, I think it's reasonable within 90 days to be able to do exactly that, especially if I have the muscle memory that I've had from previous months. Here's what's not going to happen. if I walk into the gym and I put 180, 195 or 155 on the bar, and I do 10 reps, 3 sets, and the next week I come in and I do 155 for 3 sets and 10 reps, and then the next weekend and I come in at the exact same weight with 3 sets of 10 reps each time. I'm not going to get stronger. I'm not going to put myself in a position of extra stress. Like I'm not going to understand what that 185 feels like. Like you need to periodization. You need to like plan to be able to execute that end goal. And maybe, yeah, okay, maybe you have to do some sets of like put 185 on the bar just to sort of like I've literally like when I got to like my heaviest bench press that I was able to do was 130 or 235
Wow.
for a set of two, and that's heavy for me. I was under 200 pounds at the time. I've never been able to get 225 for more than 5 reps, but like in order to get there, you literally sometimes you have to literally just unrack it and re-rack it just so that your hands and like your central nervous system can understand what it feels like to move that weight.
Right.
And you need to progress from there. You need to go out and like, all right. Last week we unracked it. This week I'm gonna do a full rep, but I'm gonna make sure that I have a spotter with me that like I'm in control for the eccentric, and they're gonna be basically helping me a lot with the concentric train, like the push.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
then the next week when we try it, they're gonna help less, and they're gonna help less. And then in the meantime, when I'm doing my full working sets, yeah, I'm gonna do my 155s, but maybe I do 12 reps, maybe I do 15, or push for like basically I'm gonna push to failure. If I'm gonna also use that spotter who's gonna help me with 185 for a single rep or 2 reps or whatever it happens to be, I'm gonna take that 155 to complete failure. I'm gonna blow way past 10 reps, and we're gonna try and like we're just gonna see how many we can get.
Right.
It's the stress of being able to do something like that that allows you to get to where you want to be.
Right. Yeah. The failure is key, right? I mean, I'll do that on a bicycle as well. I will go to failure on a sprint, and then I recover, and then you're tearing those fibers and they're rebuilding, and that's where the strength comes from.
Yeah.
Is the tear. But I mean, as well as you, if you're saying yes, I want to bench your weight. I mean, you still have to focus on the whole other body as well. You just can't sit there and go, I'm just going to bench this. You need to incorporate all the squats and everything,
Of
every
course.
other exercise to build the strength throughout the whole body. It's like
Yeah.
I can do 100 miles on a bicycle today, but I can't squat that much. Right. So we have two
Yeah, but
different
you're talking about moving weight versus endurance.
True, true. But you would think, sometimes you think that crosses over, but it doesn't, especially on the cycling, where I need to do way more legs as well to become better on a bicycle.
Yeah.
So
I think you need to do more shoulders because like between you and me, like I've got boulders and you have the remnants of what was once healthy shoulders.
it's slowly coming back, slowly.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
one lat.
you were on your deathbed like 5 months ago, so I'll give
I
you a
only
little bit
have
of a
I
pass.
only, I only have one lat at the moment on the right. The left side's not there. It's non-existent. So that's a lot of work.
Fictitious.
Yeah.
Fictional lat syndrome, which is different than the guys who like walk around the gym with the suitcases. I always find that funny because you get some big dudes who still like you've been doing it long enough. You should know that like no one has a hard time putting their fucking arms down. Stop it.
Yeah.
That's not a real thing. Like I've done some gnarly back workouts. I've never in my life been like, oh shit, like I can't put like there's like you're holding your arms higher than what your lats would even like yeah, okay, you're experiencing a little bit of a pump right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I'm just that's just me ranting for 2 seconds. Um Can't let you get off this podcast without talking a little bit about the Indy Supercross. I hope people got a lot out of that portion of the show, the Ask Hoppo. We're going to continue doing more of those. And anyone who's wanting to get some feedback from Hoppo, they can email myself at bradgebhart88 at gmail.com, or they can email you as well, right, Hoppo?
Yep, hoppo02 at gmail.com, or just go to Instagram with hoppo and it'll come straight to me.
There you go.
My website is hoppofit.com as well.
Perfect. They can get some more information on that as well. I hope they do so. Indy Supercross. I posted some highlights from one of Ricky Carmichael's last victories at the RCA Dome. Of course, it was 2005. It's all two strokes all the time, unless we're talking about I think there's like maybe two or three guys in the top 10 that are on four strokes. Tortelli on that 2005 RMZ. Whew! That was like he's basically like he was a racing tester at that point. That was not the best, but this weekend coming up, it's an East-West shootout for the 250s. Cooper Webb continues to expand his lead in the points lead. Like it's just like this whole 450 season, as crazy as it's been, we've had multiple winners. We have Ken Roxon winning last weekend. Quietly and steadily, Cooper Webb walking away with this thing. Like literally, I feel like there's going to be all kinds of chaos, and like by like the quietest thing in the world will be the fact that that Cooper Webb wraps up this title like 2 rounds early.
He's a silent assassin.
Yeah.
He's
just smiling at you and watching you, and by watching you, I mean at this point, unfortunately, it's Chase Sexton. Just make absolutely horrendous decisions on the motorcycle on the motorcycle track and hemorrhage like points on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, but hey, we're not out there; they're out there.
Yeah,
they're making different decisions. But
what do you attribute the Chase Sexton situation? Like especially the last 2 weeks, where late in the race, like not even with a crash, losing multiple positions.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I read his Instagram post and he goes, "Yeah, the last month hasn't gone the way I wanted to," and so and so and so. But it's like, man, that's a tough pill to swallow, to lose points like he has over the last few rounds.
Detroit, he goes from, it was Detroit. No, which round? Oh yeah, no. Tampa, he's leading, crashes in the whoops, goes.
Yeah, in the parade lap, he had a little tip over, which jacked the throttle up. So the throttle wouldn't return. So he was actually manually on and off, on and off.
And we talked about that.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, he goes down and loses multiple positions after that. And then Detroit. What happened to Detroit?
He finished on the podium. He was third, right?
Third, but he was that was one, but he was leading prior to that, right?
Right.
And then no, isn't it? Oh, well, now I'm starting to lose track of like he has to go to the LCQ this last weekend because he gets the start of his life, and that opening straightaway, as awesome as it was to watch, that was sketchy. That first rhythm section, that was giving guys fits. Like, yeah, that was like it was tough to stay consistent in that thing. He goes down, twists up the motorcycle. He has to pull off. Brutal start. And like in the main event, like I think he was hunting those guys down a little bit, but still he ended up fifth.
I think so. I mean, you can't give those guys that much rope.
No. I'm like, how are you going to make up 10 points, 15 points on Cooper Webb? Like Cooper Webb's not going to give it up. He's just going to be, is it 15, 16 points at this point? Like you need to string a couple of wins together, and you need him to have some uncharacteristically bad weekends.
What's there, 6 rounds left?
More. We're at round 9, I believe. Yeah. Daytona was round 8. We're halfway through the season. We're actually just under halfway through the season. This weekend coming up will be round 9 of 17, so we'll be officially on the
So
backside
he
of
basically
halfway.
he basically to claw back those points needs to win every race, and Cooper finished second.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's the math right there.
Yep. That
Two
is the
points.
math. I think that's probably unlikely. Um, based off of how things have been going. But yeah, he needs to win. And at this point,
He,
he already started only already sort of needs some help.
I mean, he's at time. I mean, he is the fastest guy on the track on average,
Yes.
but you can't do it doing what you're doing. You have to no mistakes. And Webb said that last week at Daytona. He goes, you can't win with the amount of mistakes I made. He was
Right.
open about it.
And then yeah, the like this weekend coming up, it's an East-West showdown. They don't like us using the other S word because that has weapon connotations to it. We can't say shootout anymore. It is a East-West showdown. Who do you think comes out on top? And usually these showdown races often play a big role in the championship. Say Deegan comes out and wins and either Julian Beaumer or Cole Davies ends up sixth or on back, that can blow the championship wide open.
Yeah, I mean they're always tough, and they never seem to go how you think they will go when they do these
Yeah,
showdowns.
it's
I
all
mean,
like who was great at the shootouts back in the day? Not to completely derail your story. You know who was always great at them?
who's that?
Andrew Short.
Yeah,
Andrew
yeah.
Short won two. I think it was back to back. Like it was always it was Vegas. They didn't always like. I wouldn't say that they didn't matter, but like they were not as like a lot of times in the early portion, like the years before. I think it was 2005 or 2006. It actually wasn't 4 points. It was essentially just like bragging rights and money.
Hmm.
And Shorty was awesome for those. I don't know why.
Yeah, he had some talent. He was
Yeah.
good. He was
Hmm.
really good. But I think that, I mean, hands-on favorite Deegan's probably the one. I don't think that. I think the only one that can beat Deegan is himself if he does
Mm.
something silly.
Yeah.
Um, it'd be good to see him and Anstey line up. I mean, unfortunately, again, there's so many injuries. It's going to be a pretty light field. There's going to be big gaps between the top five to the rest of the field.
Yeah.
So,
I think there are four legitimate guys coming out of the West, and I don't mean to besmirch the good name of Cody Schock, but I think it's Hayden, Julian, Cole, and Joe. And honestly, out of those four, I think it's in that order, not only in points, but as
well,
far as
you got.
speed and tenacity.
I mean, you've got RJ Hampshire.
Yep.
I mean, he won last weekend, but yeah. I mean, it's a shame Kitchen's out. I mean,
Yeah.
Smith's out.
Oh, how like what like you must have watched the broadcast when they literally have like box in box the number one rider for pro circuit this year, and like I think he was I'd you'd call him team captain, as far as like odds on favorite to win a title this year. They have him on the screen, and they have Mitch as he goes ass over tea kettle, like straight up Indonesia, and then the bike punishes him. Like, I don't know what kind of yoga you need to be able to do to be able to kick yourself in the face,
Yeah. I mean, it was
but
terrible.
oh,
But
Kitchen
that's
got folded like a
Daytona, right?
lawn
It's
chair.
deep ruts, full pegs grab. It's a tough track.
Well, that
Tough
that
track.
that section was getting guys a lot anyway. Like there was a lot of
Right.
guys who were hitting that, and like the way the bike would slap as they're coming off of it. Like you saw Malcolm go like basically like do a big old bar hump coming off of that. Like
Hmm.
there was a number of guys that would sort of like they'd have that posture and the essentially a panic rev to be able to straighten the bike out after like basically wheeling into that thing. And if your wheel didn't hit it just right, well, we saw what happened with Levi. It
Right.
was scary.
Yeah, I mean those guys have got a split second, right?
Yeah,
Split
no, and
second.
like they're at breakneck speeds. Um, I'm a little, I wouldn't say worried, but I think this weekend could be huge for the East because I could see a scenario where Max Anstey, and he has looked like the class of the field in that championship. He only has a 6 point lead, but that has everything to do with the fact that this last weekend he gets 16 points to Tom Vial's 22. I could see a scenario where Max Anstey either wins or gets second, and there's anywhere between 3 and 4 West riders before there another 250 East rider comes along. Like as with all due respect to RJ Hampshire, like when you put these together, I don't he hasn't always had the best of luck when it comes to these showdowns and being able to show out with the full roster of athletes on both sides. Um, like it's not crazy to think that that Anstey could put some serious amounts of points on Tom Vial and the rest of the East crowd after this weekend.
Oh, for sure. I think exactly what you said there is true. I mean, we all know RJ can pull one out. He did last weekend,
Yeah.
but definitely Anstey's been the most consistent
He
for
just looks
sure.
strong. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he looks like he can put the bike where he wants to put it when he's not running into the back of Tom Vial, of course.
Mhm.
Like he just looks like a very mature, like physically mature and like racing wise, he's got the most experience on the track by far. He's well into his 40s already. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, VL, I mean, a year ago, he was 10 times better than what he was.
Yeah, I don't quite get it. I is it
I got no idea.
I don't know. I'm completely at a loss for that one. I honestly, personally, I love the showdowns, and one of my favorite showdowns was in Atlanta one year. They made a Triple Crown, also a showdown. So you had the entire like
Yep.
the all the talent from the
Yep.
250 class, 3 races in a row. Yes, it's not great for the privateers because like in either class because it already like either coast because they don't get to be represented, but I don't. I'm sorry. I like to see the best in the world do what they do. I think those like a triple crown race is tailor made for an East West showdown. And so with that, I ask you like I guess you already answered it earlier, but I'll ask it again. Um, Deegan's gonna have the number is gonna have the red plate, as will Max Anstey. Who's coming out on top? Same points gap in both championships too, by the way. Six
Really?
points. Yeah, 6 points.
I'm going to go Anstey.
Anstey.
Mm,
The ruts, maybe.
yeah, maybe.
Like
I don't know.
everyone knows Indy has always gotten pretty
Well,
ruddy and
those two are teammates, so they
Mhm.
train at what extent they practice together and ride together. I don't know.
What's the
Might,
chanceability that Yamaha sweeps the podium with Anstey, Deegan, and Cole Davies?
that's a possibility. That would be pretty cool for Yamaha.
I haven't done that in a while. And then
No,
like Kawasaki, they could get at least 2 on the podium if Marchbanks pulls his head out of his ass and rides his balls off. Because
true.
he's coming back, right? Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
It should be.
Marchbanks and Hammaker. I like Seth Hammaker. I don't care what you
Yeah.
say. I think he's a good guy.
No, I think he's good. I mean, he's another one that's faced a lot of adversity, right? Like if he ever
Yeah.
gets a good season under his belt, he'll be
Am I
tough.
the only one that thought he was taller? Like I legitimately thought that Seth Hammaker was like taller in stature, and then I saw his picture. And I don't want to besmirch the good name
Mm.
of Seth Hammaker, but like I saw like the picture of when they line up all the riders, and like he's if he's not 5'5", he's a foot. You know what I mean?
Really? I
Yeah,
hadn't
he's a
noticed.
little guy.
No,
Which there's
no,
nothing wrong with that. There's also a
no.
little guy from Florida that was pretty fast.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
A little
So
redheaded guy. 450 class. Who you taking? Does it's currently a 10-point gap. Does Chase Sexton get back to the top step of the podium?
I think he will. I think he's due to bounce back.
Yeah.
Whether he can salvage that points, I don't know, but he'll bounce back.
What about Kenny? How about Kenny winning at Daytona?
He'd never won there before.
Never won there before. This other guy that he's been racing forever was doing a bunch of winning there.
Yeah, true.
Justin Brayton.
He did win there, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think Kenny can still win another one.
Like the fact though, it's not like okay. I'll talk. I'll just speak on the 450 class and Ken Roxon and like for a second here is it's not that he won, it's how he won. Ken Roxon, very well known for getting great starts, unbelievable sprint speed on the first lap, and getting away, building a gap, and doing the Jeremy McGrath thing where at the 15 lap mark, the guy's so far gone that the race is over and he's just managing a gap. Ken Roxon started fifth, hung out there until the 10-minute mark, and then he just started putting sections together that was just absolute like poetry in motion. When he was going through the sand about half a second faster than everybody else, that like the speed that he carried through that section was basically created earlier in that section when he's jumping up over top of the jump that goes into the sand, like blasting down the back side of it, ripping through either side of the sand. Did not matter which side he'd go down, but it was definitely faster to go on the outside. That set him up perfect for that sort of triple into the off camber. And like within that maybe 200 yards worth of track, he was 2 seconds faster. I can't be told otherwise.
I mean, just goes to show how comfortable he is on the bike.
He just looked good, yeah.
I mean, he's good. They're all good. But he was, when Kenny's on, he's on.
Special. He's special. I love it. So then 450 class, I'm picking Chase Sexton to get a victory. You're doing the exact same. We're boring that way. We don't even get to disagree or argue. And then Birmingham comes up. Is it next weekend or the weekend after? I think they do a weekend off.
I think there is a weekend off. Yep.
Yeah. They finally get a break after 9 straight weeks of killing themselves on the pointy
Florida.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the heat and the humidity and all that fun stuff. And then of course only in the sport of motocross would you take a week, like you get a week off, and that's when we buckle down and test for outdoors.
Well, they already started. Oh, they were at Parlour this weekend on Tuesday, so
of course
it's already started.
Yes, yeah.
It all starts in Daytona, and then it carries on.
That's right. Well, hey, back in the day, we used to race Daytona and then go to Gainesville.
Yep.
Out of this world. Hoppo, one last time here on the Big MX Radio podcast for this episode. If people are interested in Hoppo Fit, how do they get in touch with you, and what can they expect from working with you?
The easiest thing would just be to go to my website at hoppofit.com, send me a message through there, and I'll get back to you. And in terms of working together, I mean, let's just jump on a call, fill you out, see where you're at, what your goals are, how strong you are, and where you need to be, and we'll just work a program for you.
There you go, my friend. Well, if you're interested in taking your current situation and your program to the next level, I highly recommend working with Hoppo. I work with him, and I'm currently on my way to the best shape of my life. I'm down 15 pounds from where I was at when him and I first started working together. Between working with Hoppo Fit and implementing my supplements with First Form, I'm closer to my goals than I've ever been, and we're going to continue along that path. Hoppo, thank you so much for making some time today.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Have a good night.